Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are having a lovely time. My name is Richard Kipngeno, the Birding and Membership Officer at Nature Kenya. And it's a great pleasure for me to welcome you today to our virtual members talk titled Spider. Is it a friend or enemy? Actually, what you need to know about spiders. The talk will be taken, it will be presented by Grace Kioko, and I will request each and every one of you to remain muted. And should you have any question, feel free to drop them at the chat box, and the speaker will be able to handle them one by one after the presentation. And also to let you know is that we are recording this presentation, and after this we will share them. We'll upload them. We'll upload it in our YouTube channel, the Nature Kenya YouTube channel, so you can revisit later on. Just a quick bio of our presenter today. Grace Kioko is a research scientist at the Invertebrate Zoology section of the Zoology Department, National Museums of Kenya. She has a master's degree from the University of Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing, China, where she studied the ecology and taxonomy of spiders. She has done 6 publications on the taxonomy of spiders, including the first checklist of spiders of Kenya. Currently, her work involves the digitization and classification of spiders and other arachnids in the National Museums of Kenya repository. She is also very passionate about educating people on the importance of arachnids in the ecosystem. That is a short bio of our presenter today. And without taking much time, I will welcome Grace to give us the presentation. Welcome, Grace.
Thank you, Richard, for that introduction. Let me just say I'm really happy to be giving this talk today. And I'm going to be taking you through the anatomy of spiders, what the spiders feed on, and their economic and ecological importance. So it is my hope that you're going to enjoy the talk, and you're going to learn something about spiders. And hopefully, if you have any arachnophobes in the group, we are going to at least dispel some of the fears that you have about spiders. So welcome, and I'm just going to start. So first of all, I'd like to take you through, sorry, let me see. So we have about, spiders belong to the class Arachnida and the order Arani. And we have about 129 families that have been recorded worldwide, and which represent over 49,000 species. So in Kenya, that number is about 805. Of course, we have more. So probably because of maybe not so many studies have been done from spiders, so we may lack some of the data. But this data was collected in 2018, actually in a publication that I did. And of the 805 species, 300 are found to be endemic to Kenya. So these spiders were actually only found to be from Kenya. And I'm sure from 2018, actually more spiders have been published, so we have more. And because most of the work has not been done, so you find that maybe we don't have as much data on that. So one of the things that I like to tell people about is about the differences between spiders and insects, because most people actually confuse the two, but spiders are actually not insects because they have a couple of differences. For example, spiders have 2 body parts as opposed to 3 body parts in insects. And then also spiders have 4 pairs of legs as opposed to 6 pairs of legs in insects. Insects also have 2 compound eyes and then 3 simple eyes. But spiders normally have 2 to 8 eyes, and we have some that actually are blind, especially the cave species. So they are blind and they've lost the function of sight. And then spiders also lack wings, and they also lack the antenna. They also have this structure that we call the spinnerets, which is a structure for spinning silk or the web. And the spinnerets normally have about 6 to 8 glands, and they also produce different kinds of webs. So these are just different types of spider families. We have the family Aranidae, the orb weavers. We also have the cellar spiders, which are the orb weavers. And then we have the Therididae, the crab spiders. We have the huntsman or the huntsman spiders. And then we have the Theraphosides or the baboon spiders, and also the jumping spiders. So we have about 129 families. So these are just a sample of the families that we have. So when you check the morphology and the physiology of spiders, when you check the morphology and the physiology of spiders, we have the spider, the Goliath bird-eating spider here, which is one of the largest spiders that we have. It's about 28 centimeters with the leg span, and the spider actually weighs about 170 grams. And then we have the huntsman spider. This one, Heteropoda maxima. The leg span can go to about 30 centimeters. Yeah, so it's actually the largest existing spider by leg span. And then we have the auger face spider, which is from the family Dinopidae, and it has the largest anterior eyes. Then we have this spider here, which is a blind spider, the first actually blind spider that has been described. Then we have the bark spider, the Darwin bark spider. One interesting thing about the Darwin bark spider is that it produces the largest known silk web here, which is about 2.8 millimeters square. And then it also produces the toughest silk available. And then we have the golden orb weaver. An interesting thing about the golden orb weaver is that, as many of you may actually know, in most of the invertebrates, or actually, yeah, so the female is normally larger than the male. But for the golden orb weaver, the female is normally about 5 times larger than the male. So this arrow here points to the male. So the male is actually very tiny. And then the female is normally about 5 times the size of the male, sorry. So where can we find spiders? So spiders are mostly occupied like all the habitats available. We have the arboreal spiders. These are golden orb weaver. It's an arboreal, the web is normally found between trees or vegetation. And then we have here another orb web, but then it has this structure called stabilimentum. So this structure, most people don't really know its function, but it actually acts to kind of conceal the spider and then prevents it from being preyed upon. Then we can also find spider in litter. So basically, when we're doing collection in the field, we normally collect the litter in this structure of a leaf funnel. Then we pour it on a white sheet and then search for the spiders inside the litter. So we also have spiders that actually occupy the caves. So normally, like the cellar spider is normally found in mostly in caves. And then we also have another family known as Aphyxellididae. So many spiders are actually found in caves. And most of the eyeless or blind spiders are actually cave species. And then we have spiders that actually frequent the cave. So normally they can either come in and out of the cave, some that are actually permanently cave species. So we have different types of the cave species depending on the group. And then we also have spiders that are collected along water sources, especially the fishing spider from the family Pistoridae. And then also another group is the Tetragnathidae, the long-jawed orb weavers. They're also found along water sources, but in vegetation. We also have spiders that are found in forest. This is just a bamboo forest, but mostly we have spiders that are found in forest. We also have others, especially the cellar spiders that are found in homes. So if you look at your homes, especially in corners that you've not dusted in a while, you'll find a web forming, and then mostly you'll find these very tiny bodied spiders with actually very, very long legs. So those are called the cellar spiders. We also have the Therididae or the comb-footed spiders. They're also found in houses. And many more spiders, even the funnel web spiders, they form, majorly they form webs in corners that are actually quite dusty. So what do spiders eat? We actually, before I actually tackle what they eat, we have two types of spiders. So we have the web building spiders and the hunting spiders. So for the web building spiders, they normally lay a trap for the prey. So normally you find like they lay a trap. So they can either lay a trap for the prey, or they can actually, let's say, for example, they can form a web, and then when the web is disturbed, they run out and catch the prey. Or they can actually lay and wait for the prey, and then when the prey appears, they cover it with the web and then roll it up. Or the other option is they can actually form webs that are good enough to actually kill the prey by itself. And then we have the hunting spiders. So for the hunting spiders, they lie in concealed, some actually lie in concealed areas. And then when the prey comes, they attack. And then you also have we have the active hunters. So the active hunters actually get out of they get out of their homes or their habitat, and then they actually go out and search for the prey. So this is actually just a slide to show you the different prey. The first picture is a fishing spider. So the fishing spider normally is found in water bodies, and it actually floats on top of the water, and it feeds on small fish. Then we have an Agiope spider here feeding on a monarch butterfly. An interesting fact is that the monarch butterfly is actually avoided by prey. So by other predators, sorry. So it's interesting to see that a spider can actually feed on a prey that's actually avoided by other predators. Then we have one here that's feeding on a small grasshopper, and then a jumping spider feeding on a fly. Other types of prey include the bugs. Then we have a woodlouse spider. So a woodlouse spider majorly feeds on woodlice, and they actually coexist together in an ecosystem. So normally they're found in either wet or rotting wood in the forest under it. And then the woodlouse spider normally feeds on this one. So farmers normally like this spider very much because it helps control this nuisance pest. The other spider that's interesting to talk about is this spider from the crab spider family. It's called a Misumena vatia. So Misumena vatia normally feeds on pollinators. So normally this is kind of a bad thing, but what's an interesting factor about this spider is it actually changes the color depending on the color of the flower it's in. So like, for example, here it's on a white flower, so it changes its color to white, and then on a yellow flower, it changes its color to yellow, and it's actually kind of a camouflage mechanism to avoid, to actually kind of hide from the prey, and also kind of it's kind of a hunting mechanism. So it camouflages with the flower to hide from the prey. So when the prey comes to feed on the flower nectar and everything, it attacks the prey. So it's very, very interesting. But then it's only the two kind of flowers, it only changes color in the two kinds of flower. So only the yellow and the white flower. So I'm going to show you a video about a bola spider. It's actually an interesting video to see how this spider kind of feeds. So I'm just going to run a video. It's a short video. You're going to see an interesting thing, and then I'm going to explain it later. So this is a male bola spider, and it feeds on a moth. It has a very interesting way of feeding it. Sorry for that. Yeah, so that's just one of the interesting feeding mechanism of a spider. This spider actually kind of generates this silky strand, forms this bolus-like structure on the silk, then swings it up like bolus and then traps its prey, drilling it in and then injects the venom and feeds on it. So that's one of the interesting feeding mechanism of a spider. We have so many, as I said earlier, some lay a trap on the spider once the pet prey trips on the web, it drills it in and then it injects the venom, the enzyme, digestive enzymes, and then sucks the fluid or pours the digestive venom on the prey, and then digest the prey. So they have very, very many mechanisms, and it's interesting to see these different feeding mechanisms. So how can you identify a male and a female spider? So it's all in the pulp. So when you check the pulp of a male spider, it's normally the last segment of the pulp is normally modified to the sex organ of a spider. So normally it's swollen in the sub-adults or the not grown males, but in the mature male, we have other structures that are formed that help it in copulation. And then for the female spider, if you check the last segment of the pulp, it's normally not swollen. So the sex organ of the female is normally found on the ventral side of the stomach. So that's just a simple way of distinguishing and differentiating between a male and a female spider. So we have a few common families of spiders that you can actually easily identify. We have like the jumping spider. There are very interesting features that you can look at. So for the jumping spider, normally it has two very large anterior eyes and then smaller ones adjacent, and then 4 eyes at the back. So this is just an easy way of identifying a jumping spider. Then for a wolf spider, we normally have 4 simple eyes at the bottom, 2 large eyes, and then 2 smaller eyes at the back. So normally for this, for most of the spider groups, the easy ones to identify, the eye pattern is actually normally used, and then the size of the eyes. So we also have a lynx spider. Normally it has 2 small eyes, 2 wider eyes, and then 4 eyes at the bottom. So the shape and the number of eyes is actually very useful in identifying some of the family, not all, especially the bigger ones. Then we have the funnel weaver. So in the field, when you're looking at the funnel weaver, it's normally on the ground, mostly the web is normally on the ground. And then it normally spins a very large, wide areaed web. And then right at the center, there's normally a structure that looks like a funnel. So the spider normally rests in the funnel or right outside the funnel, and then when it's disturbed, it rushes in. So it's actually very hard to catch it, and it actually moves very, very fast. So normally, when the prey trips on the web, it moves very, very fast and catches the prey before the prey disappears. So other common families that you can identify, like for example, these are all orb weavers, but then if you check the shape of the abdomen, it's normally different. So these ones are normally known like as the spiny orb weavers, but then the shape of the abdomen is normally different in each genus, let me say genus, yeah, so in each genus, and then also the shape of the abdomen in this. This one is normally known as the golden orb weaver. It normally has a very long, elongated abdomen, and then the male is normally very small and also attached to the web. Normally, when you're looking at the web, this one is normally on an orb web. And then the other one is the Euloboridae or the hackle web spider. Normally, when it's resting on the web, this one normally rests on the stabilimentum, the concealing web, and then the front legs are normally rested forward, and they're kind of larger compared to the other legs, and long, of course. Then we have other families like the long-jawed weaver, so that's the Tragnathidae family. The lungs, the jaws or the chelicerae are normally elongated and widened apart. So normally these are characteristics of this family. This is a male, of course. And then in this family, the genus Tetragnatha normally has the longest and widened. Genuses in this family, the jaws are quite apart, but they're not as elongated as in this genus. Then we have this family here known as Pulpimanidae, or the pulp-footed spiders. When you check the front legs, they are normally kind of muscular, and then also the arrangement of the eyes. So in some families, you can check a combination of two characteristics. So for example, in this one, you check the front legs, which are kind of muscular, and then the arrangement of the eyes. So we also have the crab spider. Also, you check a combination of the two. The eyes of a crab spider are quite unique. And then normally when it's resting or walking back, it actually kind of mimics a crab. That's why it's called a crab spider. Then we have the family Onopidae, or the goblin spider. So the goblin spider normally has 6 eyes. Remember I said spiders normally have 2 to 8 eyes. So the goblin spiders normally have 6 eyes, and normally this is the arrangement. So for this one, you're normally going to find them in the litter, and they're kind of orangish red, and they're quite very small. And then also we have this family, the woodlouse hunters. The eyes normally form a U. So normally a U, and then the jaws are kind of extended forward and actually intercrossing together. So those are just some of the simple characteristics you can use to identify some of the common families. Remember, I said we have over 129 families. So some of these families are quite tiny, and you actually have to use either a microscope or a very good camera to capture the photo. Then you actually need most of the time you actually need to get the specimen and actually come to the lab or something and actually have someone help you identify it, or using literature you can identify. But then they are, like the families I've actually mentioned, they're quite easy to identify, and they're also quite, the characteristics are quite simple to grasp. So we also have like for the web spiders, we have different kind of webs. So for example, this is normally an orb web. Normally it's kind of circular. So many people normally think this is the only type of web that we have available, but no, it's actually just the most common web, and it's just for normally for the family, for the orb weaving families. So normally this is just common for the orb weaving families. Then we have this kind of other web, is called the cobweb web. So normally it's found at the corners of the house and just adjacent to like a very dusty corner that you don't reach often. And it's common among the comb-footed spiders and maybe the cellar spiders sometimes. So normally just the house spiders. Then this is the funnel web that I was talking about. As you can see, it extends quite far. So the spider lies here in the funnel, and then it waits for the prey. So the prey can actually get as far into the web without realizing there's a spider. And then once the spider feels the vibrations of the web, it runs out and attacks or gets the prey. And then we have this other kind of web, it's called the sheet-web spider. So normally this is just a small plant, and then the spider hangs around here, somewhere up here, and then it hangs upside down. And then as the prey is passing underneath the web, the spider drops on it and then injects the venom. And for the flying prey, as the prey is flying across from the web, it gets entangled on the web and then drops on the spider, and then the spider can feed on it. The other kind of web is the mesh spider web. So for the mesh spider web, it's actually more or less similar to the cobweb, but then this one is found indoors as opposed to this one, which is normally found outdoors. And then it's normally under a leaf or rocks, and it's actually more organized than this is, and it's for a different kind of family known as Bisteridae. So this other kind of web is a very simple web known as a triangle web. So the triangle web is for the family, the Herculoid spiders, the Uloboridae. So one interesting thing you have to know about the Uloboridae, they're one of the 2 family of spiders that actually lacks the spider venom. So these spiders are completely harmless because they don't have any venom or venom glands in them. So for the web, for the web to be effective, for them to catch prey, the webs are actually made from fuzzy strands, and then which entangles the prey as it comes close to it. And then the web acts as form or method of suffocating the spider, suffocating the prey, and then the spider is able to feed. Remember, this is a spider that doesn't have the venom in it, so it's actually a very helpful way to help the spider feed, because as opposed to the other spiders, it cannot inject venom into the prey. So these are just different kinds of webs that we have available. Of course, we have the other kind of webs that help spiders in ballooning. We have webs that help spiders in wrapping the eggs before they hatch into spiderlings. We also have other spiders that actually kind of like the auger-face spider. It actually weaves a web between the front legs, and then as the prey is passing or coming close by, it kind of encloses or wraps the prey in the web and then feeds on the prey. So I've talked about spiders, their habitat, their prey, and their anatomy. So some of you may be wondering, why exactly am I so interested in spiders? So they have different importances. So one of the most important characteristic or importance of spiders is the fact that they are predators. So spiders feed on literally everything, especially the invertebrates that are crawling. And as many of you actually know, that some of the invertebrates can be quite a nuisance as pests. So spiders are actually very useful in controlling the pest population. So normally in seasons of low reproduction and food and exodasis, they actually reduce their feeding. So this means that they can survive in low seasons of prey, and actually they can survive starvation. And then the other thing is spiders, as I've said, they don't really pick, so they feed on adult invertebrates. They also feed on the eggs and the nymphal stages. So they actually are very good controllers of pests. So the other interesting things I found about spiders is they actually, some of them are actually good in mimicking. So like, for example, these are two different species. One is an ant and the other one is a spider. So in this case, the spider is mimicking the ant, and it actually mimics the ant so well in a way that it looks like it has 3 body parts. So the reason for the mimic is actually very simple, which I'm going to tell you later in a minute. And then we also have this other spider, which belongs to the orb weaving family, and it also mimics the ladybug or ladybird. So normally the reason for the mimicking of the spiders to these different types of species is because other predators actually avoid feeding on these ones because they have a very bad taste or a bad smell. So it's a way of self-preservation. So they mimic this species or groups because they want to avoid predation. The other thing is also like some of the other species mimic these groups, and then they mingle with these groups into like in their colonies or the groups, and then they actually feed or predate and do predation from the inside. So it's actually another way of kind of feeding on these groups. So not only do spiders mimic, also other predation. Like for example, we have this moth here, which while it's resting, it actually mimics a jumping spider because the patterns on its wings form eye-like patterns. So it mimics a jumping spider to avoid predation. We also have these 2 bugs that also mimic predation by mimicking jumping spider. So for example, for this bug, like the researcher that had posted this picture said that when they were actually interacting with the bug, it was actually moving forward to avoid the people from recognizing that it was a jumping spider, as opposed to this one, once it was actually kind of disturbed, it moved on the side and you can actually clearly see it's a bug. So this is actually a very good way of them mimicking spiders to avoid predation. So that's basically the only reason I can find out there for the reason of the mimicking. So the other importance of spiders is the production of silk. And the silk, as I said earlier, it helps in web building, which helps some of the spiders, especially the web building one, to actually capture prey. Then we have the ones that actually wrap the eggs in egg sac. So the egg sac wrapping actually normally is in both the web building ones and the non-web building ones, like even the hunters, especially like the Lycosidae. And then we have some that use the web for anchor. So basically it's a ballooning. So when they want to move from one tree to another, or I'm sure most of you have seen, like when you drop a spider, it kind of spins kind of a web and then it kind of hangs on the air. So this is just another use for the spiders that they have for their silk. So what are some of the importances or applications that we can use for spider silk? So others have found that it can actually be used in making artificial ligaments and tendons, and then even eye sutures and jaw repair, and because of the tensile strength of the silk. And then it is also used in making bulletproof vests and airbags. This is because spider silk has actually been proven to be a very strong material. So if you take a spider silk of the same width as the silk, it's been found that spider silk is actually 5 times stronger than the silk of the same width. So this is actually why it's used for bulletproof vests. So because of this function, of course, you actually need like a lot of silk for you to actually be able to do this kind of work. So scientists have come up with a way for mass production. So the first thing they tried is that they tried to put like a bunch of spiders together. They see if they can produce a lot of silk together with it. And then they found out that once you put them together, they kind of feed on each other, because spiders can be very territorial, so they do not coexist together. So the other way they actually came up with it is they decided to do like a mass production of it by extracting the silk production gene from the spiders, and then inserting this gene using molecular techniques, of course, inserting the gene into the milk producing gene in goats. So in this way, they kind of just harvest the silk in the milk. And then by doing so, they found out there was no mutation whatsoever, and the kids actually behaved exactly the same as the others that were not, they did not have the spider silk. The only difference was that they were producing the silk in the milk. So this is actually a very good way of mass silk production, but of course it needs a lot of technology that we don't really have in Kenya right now, but it's a very good way of production and economical use of the spiders. So of course we have some spiders of medical importance, like most of you actually, I'm sure they know of the black widow spiders. So we have the black widow spiders and then the brown widow spiders. So the only deadly spiders that have been found around are the black widow spiders. And in Kenya, we have about 2 of those species that are recorded as of 2018. And then the brown widow spider can be quite dangerous, but not as deadly. And then we have the baboon spider. Now, the baboon spider, the bites can be quite painful, but the long-term, really, I think the bite is actually the one that lasts a long time because it's painful, but long-term implications of it are really not known. And then we have this species, it's a huntsman spider, known as Palistes superficolysus. So for the Palistes, the one that has been found in Kenya to be of medical importance is one that is called as Palistes hoheli. So, and then we have the yellow sac spiders, which are from the family Cheiracanthium, so Cheiracanthidae. So we have about 10 of these species that have been found in Kenya. And then we have the Loxosceles species. And then the other group of medical important spiders that are found in Kenya are the false widow spiders. The Steatoda, we have 2, the Steatoda peculiana and another Steatoda species. So I think one of the things that I'd like to dispel is that we do have venomous spiders in Kenya, but the thing is, of the larger group, about 30 of the species, only 30 of the species have been found to be of medical importance in Kenya. So out of the 805 species that have been recorded from Kenya in 2018, only 30 of those species were found to be of medical importance. And of the 30 species, only 2 were found to be deadly, the black widow spiders. So that comes to about 3% of only the general population. So the major population, about 97% of the spiders, can be quite useful, especially in pest control in the field, because that's an application that we can actually use in Kenya today. So really, I think they do more good than harm. And the other aspect about the black widow spiders is they can be quite shy. So unless there's an accidental touch or something, it's really not a big issue. So, but I'm not saying go poking spiders, but I'm saying they're really more good than the bad. So what are some of the threats that we have for spiders? So we have this species of tarantula that is actually being sold in Cambodia as a snack. So normally they hunt these spiders, they remove the fangs, and then they go to the market and sell them. And they actually kind of prepare it in some snack and then deep fry it, and then they're sold on the street as a snack. So normally the problem with this is they're not farming these spiders, they're actually hunting the spiders down. So the problem is it's becoming an issue because this species of spider is becoming almost extinct because they're doing heavy hunting without necessarily doing anything to offset the population balance between the ones they're eating and the ones they're actually staying in the ecosystem. The other threat to spiders is the ones that are used as pets. So this is also another threat because we find that they're only focusing on a specific species, and once the spider is removed from its natural ecosystem, it no longer thrives because normally you find they have only one spider, so it's not reproducing, and because it's a pet trade, so they're actually hunting these spiders down and doing it as a pet business. So that's also an issue. The other problem as to any biodiversity is habitat loss. So the more habitat we lose, the more the species are threatened. So we need to protect our habitat from deforestation. And so probably, and even settlement, because it's actually going to help in biodiversity and also prevent the biodiversity threat. The other thing about the threat to spiders is predation by birds and lizards, and then we have tarantula hawks. Now, tarantula hawks are really not spiders, as the name suggests. They're these wasps that actually hunt down tarantulas. So they normally, because tarantulas kind of have this trapdoor kind of setting, so they normally go into the tarantula door, kind of create a knocking sound, and then once the tarantula comes out to meet or comes out because of the disturbance or something, because it's also a method of predation, because once anything steps on the tarantula door, they kind of come out to feed on it. So once they sense the disturbance, they come out, and then the wasp injects kind of a venom, paralyzing the tarantulas and then feeding on it. So that's also another threat that we have to spiders. Then we have, of course, monkeys, centipedes, scorpions that feeds on spiders, so becoming a threat to it. But I'm thinking it's more of ecosystem balance because they have to feed on each other. And then we also have other spiders that feed on other spiders. So normally the feeding of spiders to spiders is normally done in a low prey season. So when the prey is low, you find that the spider kind of feed on other spiders to just maintain that kind of a feeding state. So those are some of the threats that we have. And we also have some of the challenges that we face in spiders. So like one of the big challenges that we have is misinformation. So what do I mean by misinformation? It's we have a lot of information out there that is false about spiders. There are things that people are saying that is not true. Like for example, calling spiders insects, having like saying that all spiders are venomous or all spiders are poisonous. One thing for sure, spiders are really not poisonous because if you ingest them, really nothing is happening to you, as opposed to if they actually bite you, they're going to cause like a skin laceration. The other thing is arachnophobia, which is normally correlated to the misinformation. So we have all this false information about spiders, so leading to people actually having sort of what is it called, sort of a phobia to these spiders because they have so much false information that is spread about them. The other problem that we have in Kenya is we have limited literature. Like for example, for me to compile like a list of venomous spiders in Kenya, I had to rely on data from a paper that was either published in South Africa or published elsewhere. So it becomes an issue because we don't have enough literature. And also we don't have enough expertise on arachnology. So we need to also build on capacity, educate people on spiders, their importance, just to build the interest that we have in spiders. So because they are actually, I believe they are more useful than they are harmful to us. So it's really important for us to have this information, and it's really important for us to actually understand what are some of the importances, because they need conservation. So finally, I'd like to leave you with this quote. It's from one of our very good arachnologists. He passed on a while back, but he was a very good arachnologist. So in an interview, he said, if spiders disappear today, we will face famine. Spiders, because spiders are primary controllers of insects. Without spiders, all our crops will be consumed by this pest. And it's actually kind of true because, as I said earlier, spiders feed on many, many types of insects. So if we eliminated them, and even a study, I once came across a study that if you combine spiders with other pesticidal plants, it's actually more useful, because in the case study that we had pesticidal plants, the results were actually more beneficial as opposed to in the case study where spiders are not involved, because they actually help in regulating the pest population. So thank you very much for listening to me. I really hope you learned something from the spiders. And for those who have fear of spiders, I really hope I've actually kind of dispelled some of your fears. So thank you very much. And I'm really glad that I gave this talk, and I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Hey, thank you very much, Grace, for taking us through that very informative and educative talk. In the chat box, we have some questions that have already come in. And Kibet Kipkoskei is asking, do we have spiders that dwell in high altitude areas where we have ice?
So thank you, Kibet, for that question. I really don't know. Maybe I have to look into it. But in 2018, I published a paper about an endemic spider species that was found in Mount Kenya, 300 meters. I know we don't have ice in 300 meters, but that's quite high. So I know there are spiders that do exist in high altitude, but I'm really not sure if we have any that exist in ice.
Okay, thank you very much for that response. Grace Amboka is asking, why does the white banded crab spider only changes color on white and yellow flowers?
Thank you, Grace, for that question. So I really don't know why exactly it changes the color in white and yellow flowers. But then there's also the same flower spider was found in a pink or purple flower, and it did not change color. So maybe there needs to be done a lot of research on the same so that we can understand why. But I've not come across the answer to that yet.
Okay, Anne-Christine, such an informative lecture. Thank you. John, thank you, Grace, for a really fascinating talk. Can you tell me what are the extremely flat spiders that occasionally appear at night on the walls inside my house in Samburu? Perhaps they are not spiders at all.
So thank you, John, for that question. I'd really like to see at least one of the specimen or even a picture of it. But I've been to some of the bandas in some of these forests, and some of the flat spiders. We have the flatty spiders that are from the family Selenopidae, and we also have the huntsman spiders. So I'd really have to see the photos to really tell exactly what species they are, or perhaps even the species to tell what spiders are. We also have some of the cave groups like the whip-tailed scorpion that is also found in walls. So really, I really can't tell exactly which one we looked at unless I see the photo of it or even the specimen itself.
Thank you. From Flang Weno, thank you for a most interesting talk. Thank you, Flang. Kibet Kipkoskei again, are there threatened spiders in Kenya? Do we have some species that are endemic to certain region? Can we have an exchange of images to compare?
So thank you, Kibet, for those questions. Yes, we do have threatened species in Kenya. We have about 6 species, 1 from the goblin spiders and 5 from the orb weaver spider, but then there are also all like least concern species. So I really don't know, but this research was done in 2018, so maybe right now we have more data that we need to compare with, but so far those are the species that I know of that are threatened in Kenya. Then the second question is, do we have some species that are endemic to a certain region? Yes, of course. Like the species that I talked about, the one for 3,000 meters, that was the only species that has been found in Mount Kenya. So we do have species that are endemic to specific region. And we also have species like we have specifically cave dwelling species. So yes, we do have species that are endemic to specific regions. So can we have an exchange images to compare? Sure, I'm open to receiving any images possible to do like a comparison. So if you have any, please do send to me. I'm willing to help in identification.
Wow. Thank you very much. I think also maybe at the end of this, you'll be able to share your contacts so that whoever wants to get in touch can reach you easily. From
Yes.
Grace Amboka, thank you for an informative presentation, Grace. It's another repeat of Kibet's question. From Dave Hilliard, we have crab spiders in the UK that turn pink on pink flowers and also white and yellow on those flowers too. Wow.
So thank you, Dave. I didn't really know that. I'll have to look further into that. So that's really interesting to know that we have those that change. But I think it's just a characteristic of the crab spiders, that specific species that changes color to actually kind of trick the prey as they come in. So yeah, thank you. That's really interesting to know.
Okay, thank you very much for that. So I think we have exhausted the questions that were dropped in the chat box. Not unless there is anyone who also have anything more to add, you can raise your hand and I will give you a chance to tell us. From Joshua, thank you very much for such an informative presentation. Awesome work. Please share your contacts with us. Maybe Grace, you can also drop your contacts in the chat box so that people can pick it up from there.
Yes, I think I have my email in the first slide, so feel free to email me any questions or concerns you may have about anything. I'm really willing to help because I really want to help people understand spiders. They're really not the enemy. They are here to help us.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Grace's email is there in your screens. Just a moment, I see. Okay, Gibet is saying, I'm based in Aberdares. Please let me know the species name that you identified in Mount Kenya.
So the species name is from the family Agelenidae. I think I can actually type it in the chat, and it's Mysteria nukenusi.
Okay, great. As you type that name for Tibet, from Patrick Lumumba, thank you for the lecture, quite informative. Dave Hilliard, thank you, asante sana, as this is one of the best spider talks I have ever seen. Very informative. Thank you for that feedback. John, thank you for your advice about flat spiders. I'll send you a photo. In the meantime, can you repeat or better write the name of the taxon you suggested? These are the ones.
So which taxon is that?
The one that you suggested about John's concern.
Oh, the flat spiders.
Yes.
So we have different groups. We have one, I can't really say the species, but some of the species spider families that I've seen in caves from the families Parasidae. Then we have Selenopidae. So these are spider species. And then we have some others that are whip-tailed scorpion.
Okay. As you type from Sally Shaw, thank you, Grace. Very interesting. I've learned a lot. Thank you too. And Joshua has a quick question here, which I think also he needs a quick answer. Do we have people who eat spiders in Kenya?
Not really. I don't know about it because I've also not tasted spiders, but In Cambodia, it actually started out because they were experiencing some sort of famine period. So they just wanted to eat it because of the sake of it. And then it became kind of fascinating because they liked the taste. So I don't know about people in Kenya that eat spiders. I've really not tried myself, but I would be open to doing so. So maybe we can set up a barbecue and do spider sometimes.
Okay, from Rupi Mangat, how do we control spiders in homes with insecticides?
So thank you, Rupi, for your question. I'd really suggest not doing that because spiders actually help control other insects in the house. So they actually help by eating the pests in the house, like the cockroaches and everything. So if you're really scared of them, I'd suggest just taking kind of like a cup or something and then just taking them outside because most of them are quite harmless. I'd suggest not using a pesticide.
Okay, great. And there's actually a direct message here to you, Grace, that in case of a spider bite, what will be the treat, or do you have a remedy of the same?
So I really don't know. I'd suggest going to see a doctor about it. Yeah, because people react differently to spider bites. So most of the time, most of the things that I've read about are mostly about you get like a painful bite that lasts a few hours or skin lacerations, but people also react very differently to spider bites. So my suggestion would be if you get any bite, go see a doctor and then maybe they're going to prescribe something from you.
Okay, great. From Tibet, family Achelnidae species named Mysteria nyeupe nyeusi. I like the name. I will look for one in Olesatima. That's a very interesting name indeed.
Yeah, Karibu Kibet. The species actually collected it in Naromoru, and it was in a Met station, so at 300. So if you know the place, probably if you go there, you're going to find it.
Oh, great. From Ibrahim Mauti, I appreciate for the session. I'm one of the guys who had arachnophobia, but now at least I'm positive towards spiders, citing the economic importance I've learned today. Thank you.
So thank you, Sana Kibet. Ibrahim, I'm really, really excited that you've actually dispelled some of the phobia. So yeah, hopefully in the near future, when you see a spider, you don't stomp on it. It's a very friendly guy and really has no intention of doing any harm.
Okay, great. I think I've been to Naromoru Met Station, that is from Tibet. So I think actually there will be more and more findings coming out of Tibet from Abadeas. Yes. We have exhausted what we had in our chat box. So not unless anyone has more questions, maybe you can raise up your hand and then you can just air your voice out. Don't feel left behind. Okay, I think each and every participant is satisfied. And I also take this opportunity for really thanking each and every one of you for creating time to join our today's talk, which was very informative. We have really learned a lot about spiders. We are also preparing for another talk for next month, which will be communicated through our NatureNet newsletter. So get ready for it, and you are most welcome. I would also like to make an announcement that our Wednesday bird walks are still on. Next week on Wednesday, we are here at the museum, Nairobi National Museum grounds and Michuki Memorial Park. And I invite each and every one of you to join us. About the November birding updates, we are finalizing and will be shared through our NatureNet newsletter that will be ready around next week. So thank you, each and every one of you, and have a great weekend ahead. David Chege is also thanking you, Grace, for an educative talk. And okay, Kibet is missing the email. Maybe, yeah, Grace has already typed the email. It's right there in the chat box. So thank you to you all. Have a lovely weekend. We can leave at our own pleasure. I would request the speaker to remain behind. Thank you very much. Bye. See you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you for coming for the talk.
Okay, Grace, thank you very much for the presentation. It has been nice. I will over the phone. Huh?
Okay, sawa. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
So I can exit now?
Yes, please do.
Okay, sawa. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Okay, thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay.